on YouTube. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Roger Allen Payne Jr. to please raise his right hand and be sworn. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may lower your hand. All right, so do we have some opening statements?
Yes, ma'am. As I mentioned, I'm Deanna Whitley, and Mr. Cano and I have worked hard to narrow the issues for the court's consideration today. So with your permission, I'd like to begin with the first agreement that we have concerning the parent-child issues.
All right. Any objection, Mr. Cano?
No objection, Judge.
All right, you may proceed.
Judge, I've identified Petitioner's Exhibit 3 as a summary of the agreement the parents have reached on parent-child issues. I've tendered a copy of Petitioner's 3 to opposing counsel and to the court, and I offer it into evidence as the agreement of the parties on the parent-child issues.
Yeah, let me.
All right, and that will be exhibit number 1?
It's actually number 3, Judge.
Exhibit number 3, okay.
Judge, can you just give me a minute to
Yes.
get to that, please?
Yes.
Hold on.
And Judge, while he's doing that, I'm going to ask Ms. Payne to go ahead and put Petitioner's 3 in front of you or somewhere where you can review it, and I'll wait for Mr. Cano before I begin.
All right.
Have it.
Yeah, I do not have that, do I?
Ma'am, we emailed it to you and also
Okay.
to the, to your clerk or coordinator, and then also to the court reporter. So it'll be Petitioner's 3. It's titled Parent-Child Issues.
Okay, maybe I did see that. Let me check. Well, I'm looking at the appraisal of real property. That's one document. I'm looking at temporary orders and the standing order regarding children's property and conduct of parties and the original petition. I do not see exhibit number 3.
Let me see.
But since it is an agreement,
Yeah, it's right there. See?
did I not pull it up? Well, let me see if I can. Did you send it to me late on Outlook?
I did, Your Honor. It looks like it says petition exhibit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the one that they sent from Sandy Cosero.
Okay. I don't have anything marked as exhibits here. And I have a dilemma that I just ran out of paper. I can print it on the back side of other paper that I have, so it's not a real problem.
And if you wish, I could display it on the screen.
Yeah, maybe that's the better way to do it, since we're going to be discussing it.
Yeah, Your Honor. And if you could put it the share screen, I don't think I'm co-host, so.
Okay, let me do that right now.
Yeah.
All right, so the share screen.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I do have that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Serena Leda?
Your Honor, I believe somebody else is handling that. I'm not too sure if it's the
all right.
paralegal that's taking care of that.
So then I need to share by multiple participants, okay. Is that going to work? I changed that.
Yeah, Judge, we can see the document that you put up, but it's Respondents Exhibit 1,
I am
just
busy.
so you know.
The appraisal of real property is Respondents Exhibit number 1?
Yes, Judge, we could see that up on your
All
screen.
right. Yeah, and I do have the printed copy of that, so.
And Judge, if it would be easier, I think Ms. Kazaro could share screen
Okay.
with our documents.
So she should be able to do it because I did just make it possible for multiple participants to share the screen.
Wonderful. So Sandy, will you share screen with Petitioners Exhibit 3, please?
Yes, ma'am. I believe I do need the judge to remove the share screen so that I can get access to it.
Oh, so I need to change that, okay? So I'm going to, I have an option of advanced sharing options, or one participant can share at a time.
Yeah, stop the share on top, Judge, and that
Let's see. Okay, I stopped the share.
Thank you.
All right. I don't need to do anything so I can see it now, right?
right.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Can everybody see Petitioners 3?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Judge, may I question my witness?
You may.
Okay. Amber, please state your full name for the record.
My full name is Amber Loney Payne.
Tell the judge the names and ages of the children.
Okay, the oldest is Angelique Raquel Payne. She is currently 14 years old. The youngest is Alana Vivian Payne, and she just turned 9.
Have you had an opportunity to review and approve Petitioners Exhibit number 3?
Yes, I have.
Do you agree that these orders regarding the parent-child relationship in this divorce proceeding are in your children's best interest?
Yes, I do.
Are you asking the court to approve this agreement and render it as an order of the court?
Yes, I am.
Have you been able to ask me any questions you needed to prior to agreeing to Petitioners 3?
Yes, I have.
And do you believe that these orders are in the best interest of both of your daughters?
I do.
Your Honor, I would move for the admission of Petitioners Exhibit 3 as the parents' agreement, and then I would, if admitted, I'll pass the witness.
All right. Hearing no objection, I will admit Petitioners Exhibit number 3 as a parents' agreement.
Now, Amber, is there one provision of the parent-child relationship regarding drug testing that is not agreed?
That's correct.
And that's an issue we'll present to the court after all of the agreements have been entered, right?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Any questions, Mr. Cano?
Yeah, okay, so what we worked on this last night, Judge, and early this morning. I just had a question about the insurance premium for this witness, Miss Amber. So what, you're carrying insurance for the kids, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so how much is the part that only solely is part of, how much do you pay a monthly for just the kids part?
On the kids portion, let me pull that up. Okay. Currently, they are $514.26.
Say again?
$514.26.
All right, and is that, who's been paying that the last year?
I have.
Okay, and so is there something that you could provide to us to show that's solely for the children?
Yes,
Your Honor, I would object. Just the discovery period has closed. We've exchanged INAs, and based on that, the question's inappropriate. She's testified what it costs.
Yeah, Judge, the child support's like 300, then we have 500 in insurance. I just think we should know what that is. That's all I'm saying. So I guess we can't agree on the insurance part then, Judge. And then the other thing is this, is on page 2 of this, of this agreement, there's a statement that says that Mr. Payne pays through the court registry, the Attorney General account. And we understand that if he owes something, he's got to pay it within 90 days. We just can't agree that he owes all this money because it doesn't show a credit for $2,000 that he made. So I just want to clarify that the agreement that we're talking about is, because there's a record already, we opened an account with the Attorney General's office. So to the extent that he owes whatever, that he's okay with paying that within 90 days. It's just the way that it's set out here. We can't stipulate that he owes what they think he owes because he's been paying it. So are we okay with that, Ms. Whitley?
Well, I would just say, Mr. Cano, then everything on petitioners 3 is agreed except the 100% reimbursement of the premium and the fact that we believe your client owes the amount listed on page 3. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm just saying that there's an account that tells him what he's paid and not. Yeah.
So, Amber, do you understand that we've agreed to everything except the payment of the premium and then the amount of money that you think is owed? Do you understand that that's the nature and the extent of the agreement?
Those two and the drug test, which will be handled later, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So, very well.
Yes.
That's fine.
For a second, I heard her say that the agreement is everything except 100% of the premiums and the amount that that mom thinks is owed, plus one other thing. What was that?
Drug testing. We
Drug-
believe-
drug testing. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We believe father should be drug tested just like in the temporary order. So we have 3 issues for the court to resolve on parent-child.
All right. All right. So noted.
Okay. Then if I may, I'd like to call Mr. Payne regarding just the agreement portion of this.
All right.
He's here with me.
You
He
may
can hear you.
proceed. You may proceed.
Please state your name for the record.
Roger Allen Payne Jr.
Have you had an opportunity to review petitioners 3 with your lawyer?
Yes,
Are you asking the court to approve everything contained in petitioners 3 now admitted into evidence except the reimbursement of the health insurance premium and the amount of money your wife thinks you owe under the temporary orders?
yes,
Do you believe that this agreement is in your children's best interest?
yes,
Have you been able to consult with your lawyer about this agreement?
yes,
Were you promised or offered anything as an inducement to this agreement?
no,
Are you asking the court then to approve this agreement as an order of the court?
Yes.
And you do not agree to continue to submit to drug testing post-divorce. Is that accurate?
Well, I can, but I've already done a hair follicle test for you.
My question is, do you agree to continue with the drug testing post-divorce or not?
No.
Your Honor, I believe that is then the entire agreement on parent-child issues.
All right, so the court does approve the agreement as a court order, except for the three things stipulated. The 100% of the insurance premium, the amount that mother thinks is owed, plus the drug testing. And I think it's pretty clear on the record that that is an agreed agreement between the parties, and the court does approve and make it a court order.
Very well, Your Honor. The next area of agreement, and I'll ask Ms. Cazzaro to share petitioners 4. Petitioners 4 was marked and given to opposing counsel, and I would offer petitioners 4 into evidence at this time.
Mr. Cano?
No objection.
Okay, then petitioner number 4 is admitted as exhibit, as an exhibit, illustrating the agreement of the parties.
Very well. Your Honor, may I question my client again?
Yes.
All right. Now, Amber, you've had an opportunity to review petitioners 4, correct?
Yes.
And this is the property division concerning personal property, right?
Yes.
And are you agreeing to this as a just and right division of the personal property?
Yes.
Now, there are a couple of items here that are highlighted in red that are not agreed, correct?
Correct.
Number 6, there is this issue around a carport and a car canopy, and that is not agreed, is it?
That's correct.
Now, will you briefly tell the court how these car canopies or carports are attached to your home?
Okay. This carport is freestanding, rather large metal, 20 feet long, with the metal roof on it that has been secured to the ground. It's where I park the car every day.
Can it easily be taken down?
No, I would not say easily.
Is it attached to the house?
No, that one is not attached to the house.
Okay. So are there 2 sort of canopy or carports?
Yes, there are.
Your husband is requesting a canopy that he describes as portable. Do you believe it's portable?
No, I would not call it portable.
The canopy that your husband is desiring, do you use it there at the marital home?
Every day.
And so do you agree that he should have it?
No.
Are you asking the court to award it to you?
Yes.
Now, prior to Mr. Cano appearing in the case, did we arrange for friends of your husband's to go and retrieve certain items from the marital home?
Yes, we did.
And did we make a list of those items?
Yes.
And did his friends come by and pick up those items?
Yes, they did.
Now, there is a leather racing suit that your husband believes that either you still have or that you gave away. Do you still have the leather racing suit?
No.
Did you destroy it or get rid of it?
No.
Where did the leather racing suit go?
2 leather racing suits. This is one of them. Were both sent with all his clothes and his coats in the pickup truck when his friends picked his stuff up.
And would that have been in the spring of last year?
That was on, I'm showing January 31st.
All right. So you don't have the leather racing suit, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't destroy it or get rid of it?
No,
All right.
I did not.
So are those the only disputed items then, those items in red?
Yes,
All right. Other than that, depending on the court's ruling, you're asking her to please approve this as a division of the personal property. Is that right?
that's correct.
I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Amber, your husband's a mechanic by trade, is an automobile mechanic, isn't that correct?
He may still be one.
Well, he was an automobile, but what year were you married?
In 2004,
Okay, he was an auto mechanic then, and he continued to do that kind of work until this case was filed, isn't that correct?
that's correct.
Okay, so that's a long time. And so why would you hesitate to say he's an automobile mechanic?
Because I don't know where he works right now.
Okay, well, you haven't had any communication with him for about a year, even when it involves the children, isn't that true?
That's correct.
Okay, and so, and you've been able to stay in your community homestead since this case got filed, isn't that true?
That's true.
Now, that community homestead, when this, excuse me, let me backtrack. So when this case got started, your husband had to leave the house, find somewhere else to live, isn't that true?
That's correct.
And so there wouldn't have been no reason for him to ask for this 20-foot portable canopy that we're talking about, because he didn't have nowhere to go. Isn't that right?
Wouldn't know.
Okay. And you don't care to know. You didn't care to know, did you?
Have no response to that.
Okay. Anyhow, so if he was prevented from going to your house, to his house in the last year, but maybe has found a suitable place to live out in a rural part of the county, might use that portable canopy that's not attached to the real estate. Isn't that correct?
Objection, that's compound and it assumes facts not in evidence.
Ma'am, there's actually two canopies at the property, are there not?
There are, yes.
And one is actually attached to the garage, and that the purpose of that canopy is the one that's attached to the garage is there for the purpose of parking your vehicle, is it not, ma'am?
I've never really parked my vehicle under that.
I'm asking, but I understand. You're parking your vehicle in the one your husband wants, isn't that right?
Yes,
Okay, but what I'm saying is that there's two canopies, one attached to the garage, okay, that you could use if you needed to. Isn't that true?
that's correct.
Okay, but you'd rather keep both of them rather than letting him have the one that can be picked up and moved. Isn't that correct?
Objection, that assumes facts not in evidence. It's not portable.
Well, you said it was not, didn't you just say a minute ago that it was not attached to the realty, ma'am?
It was not attached to the house. I didn't say it wasn't attached to real property.
Okay, well, how's it attached?
Anchored to the ground.
Anchored by what, ma'am?
You'd have to ask them. They may have used rebar. I do not know.
Okay, so you don't know how it's anchored, correct?
Correct.
You don't even know if it's anchored, do you?
I did not anchor it myself. No.
Okay. All right. Okay, as far as this property agreement, you're saying that part of this agreement says that the husband and wife, I'm talking about the personal property thing that your lawyer put up on the screen. On the top of it, it says husband and wife are awarded all personal property in their possession, except as follows. Okay, you understand that means that the tools as well, that your husband needs his tools for his trade, and that the that you understand that the property that he wants is all his tools. Isn't that correct?
He has his tools.
Okay, is there not anything left at the property?
No,
Were there any tools that you threw out or gave away?
not at all.
Did you sell any?
No,
Okay, and those tools that he had were tools that he had before he got married to you, did he not?
that's not true.
How many? So what's not true about that, ma'am? Are you telling me that if once that when he met you, he was a mechanic, that he didn't have any tools?
He had some. He's been buying tools for the 27 years we've been together too.
Okay, well, that's, yeah, and you're saying that those tools are all worth $60,000, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, so how'd you calculate that, ma'am?
Judge, I'm
Based-
just gonna, oh, excuse me, I'm going to interject here. I thought we were just proving up the agreement now.
All right. Well, if we want to save that for later, we can. That's fine. All right. So I think I'm going to pass then, Judge. Oh, I guess I got a question about this leather racing suit. So now, Amber, this leather racing suit is something that you think that when his friends had to go pick up his stuff that they took with them. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I remember there were two. That was one of them.
Well, did you actually see them
Yes.
put it somewhere? You supervised all that? Is
Yes.
that what you're,
Because they were
So-
inside the house. Yes.
okay. I'll pass.
Nothing further, Judge. May I call Mr. Payne just on the purpose of the agreement?
Yes, you may.
Mr. Payne, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Other than the items highlighted in red, do you agree that this is a just and right division of the marital estate concerning personal property?
Yes,
Are you asking the court to approve of that agreement
yes,
and render it as a court order?
yes,
Now, prior to hiring Mr. Cano, you were rented by another law firm. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And was that the Beza law firm, Beza?
Yes,
Do you recall doing an exchange of property with your friends Eric and or David in January of 2021?
David? There was a David?
Sir, do you recall your prior lawyer and I coming up with an agreement for your friends, either Eric or David, to pick up certain personal property of yours from the marriage?
Yes,
And they did that, didn't they?
yes, I got some stuff back. Not a lot of my tools, but I did.
Now, in terms of this petitioner's four, you claim your wife still has a leather racing suit of yours. Is that right?
Yes,
Were you present when your friends, either Eric or David, went over to your wife's home to retrieve your personal property?
I was a block away waiting for him.
Okay. Were you present during the actual physical exchange? Yes or no?
I could see him leave the driveway.
Okay.
To the question.
Yes,
Did you go into the home?
no,
All right. This car canopy, sir, you know that this car canopy is anchored onto rebarb, onto metal, and that metal is then anchored and secured into the ground, don't you?
it was at one time. I was the one that anchored it. It's not anchored anymore. We had to move it.
I see. But your lawyer just claimed you haven't had access to the house for over a year. Was that true or false?
That's true. That's true.
All right. Pass the witness.
Yeah, Roger, tell us about that canopy thing. You said it was anchored. If you were to go out there today, and you had some help,
You could slide it onto a trailer. Yes,
you could pick it up
yes.
without having to do anything to any anchors or
Well,
digging anything? Let me finish. You gotta let me finish, okay? I'm just saying, Do you got to dig anything up or pull anything out
No,
to pick?
no, just
Let me,
like,
you're not letting me finish.
I'm sorry,
You're-
gentlemen, just a friendly reminder, I need one at a time, please.
Okay. This court reporter here, who just who's so kind, she can only take down one person at a time who's talking. So we need to try the best we can not to talk at the same time. Okay. So my question is, if you went out there today and had some help, would you just be able to simply pick it up and load it onto a trailer?
yeah, we could.
Okay. And tell me your what are you going to do with it?
I'm gonna park my car under it. My truck
Okay. And where are you living now?
on a horse ranch.
Okay. So how long have you been out there?
About 4 months.
Okay. Now, at the time that this case was filed, did you have any steady place to live?
No, I was staying with friends
Until when?
till about 4 months ago.
Okay. So is that why? Is that okay? I'm going to pass.
All right. Any other questions? Ms. Whitley?
Mr. Payne, you have agreed, subject to some payout of equity, that your wife and children will remain in the marital home. Is that right?
No,
You've not made that agreement?
no.
Okay, nothing further.
I think, can I clarify that? Do you want me to say anything about that?
Well, if you want to ask questions to clarify, yes.
All right. So if you get paid your equity in the homestead, you're okay with your wife and kids continuing to live where they're at.
That'd be fine.
All right.
Okay,
Pass.
Judge, I have nothing further. With your permission now, I'd like to approve up the divorce and then get into the division of the marital estate. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, Amber, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you and forgive these questions, but we have to ask them.
Mhm.
To whom are you currently married?
Roger Allen Payne Jr.
What was the date of the marriage?
It was November 9th of 2004.
Prior to filing for divorce, were you a domiciliary of the state of Texas for the preceding 6 months? Please let me finish my question. For the preceding 6-month period.
Yes,
And prior to filing for divorce, were you a resident of the county of Bear for the preceding 90-day period?
yes,
Has your marriage become insupportable, meaning the two of you cannot get along anymore?
that is correct.
Is there any reasonable expectation that you will reconcile or get back together?
No,
Tell us the names and ages of the children born during this marriage.
Angelique Raquel Payne, she is 14 years old, and Alana Vivian Payne, she is 9 years old.
Were any children adopted during the marriage?
No,
Are you expecting a child, meaning are you currently pregnant?
no,
Are you asking the court today to grant you a divorce?
yes,
Are you asking the court for a name change?
no,
Have you filed for bankruptcy during this divorce proceeding?
no,
Have you received any notification that your husband has filed for bankruptcy?
no,
Have you created a proposed division of the marital estate that you believe is just and right?
yes,
Did you own any of your own property before you got married?
no,
In preparation for a trial, did you complete a sworn inventory and appraisement,
yes,
which has been marked as Petitioner's Exhibit 1 and shared with opposing counsel, correct?
Yes.
And have you had an opportunity to review your husband's inventory and appraisement, which has been marked as petitioners 2 and tendered to opposing counsel, correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I move for the admission of petitioners exhibit 1 and 2 into evidence.
No objection.
Petitioners Exhibit 2 are admitted into evidence.
Amber, in preparation for today's trial, did you create a spreadsheet that is your proposed division for the court's consideration?
Yes.
Did you create the spreadsheet and identify it as petitioner's exhibit number 5?
I believe it is exhibit number 5.
I've tendered petitioners 5 to opposing counsel, and I offered into evidence as a summary of Ms. Payne's requested relief.
No objection, Judge. We're not stipulating as to the values, but we're just saying we know that's her list to talk about.
All right, the court is admitting petitioners Exhibit number 5.
Now, Amber, let's go back to the beginning here and talk about these contested issues on the parent-child, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, you mentioned that you cover insurance for the girls, right?
That's correct.
And you further mentioned how much it costs you per month to do so, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And once again, tell the court the cost just for the girls, not for you and the girls.
Yeah, I'm not included in this. $514.26.
And that you were carrying the insurance at the time of the temporary orders, weren't you?
Yes.
And did it cost about that amount then?
Yes.
Has it gone up any since the temporary orders hearing on February the 5th, 2021?
No, but it may next year, but it is not so far.
Okay.
Objection non-responsive.
Said it may be something, but nothing more.
Yeah,
What was that? Could you
Just that-
repeat that?
that the insurance premium may go up, it may not. That's all
Okay.
she said.
All right, okay, so overruled.
All right. So under the temporary orders, was your husband ordered to pay you back for these premiums?
He was ordered to pay back part of the premiums. Yes.
Okay. What part?
Half.
All right. Did he do that?
No.
In fact, did you create a summary of the amount of money your husband still owes you from the temporary orders?
Yes.
And did you create that summary on petitioners 3?
Yes.
And if you will you look at petitioners 3, turn the page to page 3, and remembering our court reporter is taking down a record, can you please tell the court by category how much money your husband currently owes you?
Okay. So this started in March, which was the first month he was supposed to pay of 2021. So child support is what was ordered in the temporary orders. The medical and dental premiums, but only half of it. And that's the $257.13. The BMW loan, he was also ordered to pay. And the BMW insurance, he was also ordered to pay. Also out-of-pocket medical. There are a few items there from this past year for the children.
Okay. And can you tell the court then, based on category, does he owe child support?
Yes.
Okay. How much does he owe you in child support?
Excuse me. And are you talking about the entire amount of for everything or just child support?
Just child support.
Okay. $573.99.
And can you tell the court what months that was for, or if it was an underpayment?
That was an underpayment, but it would be for part of November and December.
Okay, so does this total include the December child support?
This includes December, which was due at the first of the
Understood.
month.
Okay, now the temporary orders imposed upon your husband a reimbursement of the health insurance premium, right?
Yes.
And has he paid that reimbursement in full?
No.
How much does he owe on the repayment of 50% of the health insurance premium?
He would owe the full amount that was due for last year, since he still owes part of the child support. So that would be $2,571.30.
Does he also owe you for some uninsured healthcare expenses?
Yes.
And were these for the girls?
Yes.
Judge, I'm going to object to leading about, actually, it's a legal conclusion when she asked, how much does he owe? I mean, I don't think there's been any presentment of those amounts before that she can say that they're owed. But anyhow, that's my objection, Judge.
Questions, right?
Ma'am?
Mr. Kano will be able to cross-examine, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right. So what is the total amount, Amber, that you think your husband owes you from the temporary orders obligation?
The remaining for this year, $4,449.86.
Okay. Now, what kind of medical or dental care did the girls receive that was uninsured?
That would have been for Alana back in March. She had an emergency dental appointment to fill some cavities. Well, it was an emergency, it was planned for $70. That was his half of it. And then her eyeglasses in April, we got her 2 pair of glasses on special, but his half would have been the $83. And for Angelique, we just got her braces this past month. My insurance, the dental, is paying for $975. The total was $1,950. So the total out of pocket's going to be $975, and his half of that is $487.50. She also had an emergency dental visit that month of $27, so he gets to pay half of that too.
All right.
So that's where the 501 comes from in November.
Now, on petitioners 3, there is a summary of all of these charges listed on page 3. Is that right?
That's correct.
Are you asking the court to confirm that amount as owing from Mr. Payne to you?
Yes.
And do you want the court to give him 90 days to pay that in full?
Yes.
All right. Now, you have asked for reimbursement of the premium on the health insurance 100%, correct?
Yes.
And the temporary orders provided at 50%, true?
That's correct.
Why are you seeking 100% now?
Because I'm covering all of the other costs for the girls all month long. All of their needs, food, everything else that I'm covering is a part of what I do for them. School, after school, the track they're doing, their extracurricular activities.
Now, let me ask you this. Since February 5th, 2021, so since the temporary orders, how many times has father visited the girls?
2 times.
When was the first time?
It would have been in November.
So from February, nothing until November?
That's right.
And how long did he visit in November?
He picked the girls up for a weekend visit.
Okay, was there a second visit?
Yes,
When was that?
that was also in November.
Okay. Now, is that part of the reason you think he should cover 100% of the premium?
Well, yes,
All right. Now, Amber, let me ask you this. In the temporary orders, there was a provision for drug testing of father, right?
that's correct.
What were and are your concerns regarding drug abuse by father?
He has a history of drug use up until about 14 years ago. I know that he drinks excessively, that he is an alcoholic. And I'm also concerned that he didn't take the drug test all year long.
Okay. Was it requested?
Yes, when it was requested, that's a big concern for me.
All right. What kind of drugs, illegal drugs, are you concerned about him using?
Mostly methamphetamines.
Is your request to the court that if father goes 3 months without visiting at all, that before he visits again, you can request a 10-panel hair test at your cost? If he's negative, then he's negative. If he's positive, he has to reimburse you for the cost. Is that what you're asking the court to do?
Yes.
Why do you believe that that order is in your children's best interest and necessary for their safety and welfare?
I believe that any parent that abuses substances, whether it be alcohol or drugs, can be a danger to the children and anyone around them. Children do not need to be subject to that kind of behavior. I think it could be detrimental to the decisions they make in the future.
Since the temporary orders in February, how soon after February did you request a drug test?
It was February 5th of the hearing that he knew about it, and I kind of thought he'd get one the next day.
Objection. Best evidence, Judge. There's a temporary order hearing. I think this is at variance with what was ordered.
That's not a legal objection.
Well, yeah, best evidence. It's a best evidence objection, Judge. That is a legal objection.
All right, I'm going to sustain it until I hear something else.
Very well. Amber,
Mhm.
you recall what month you received any kind of drug test from Mr. Payne?
I believe that it was in late October, early November that I finally got a result of a drug test.
What concerned you about that?
The length of time, the fact that that's all he had to do to see his kids, and he didn't do it until that late in the year. He let that much time go by without seeing his kids.
All right. Now, let's take a look at petitioner's 5. And this is the property, okay? Let me know when you have it in front of you.
I'm sorry, did you say 5?
I did.
Oh, the
I don't
spreadsheet.
think we have 5. Let me just,
And it's in your email, and I'm happy to resend it. It's already admitted into evidence.
All
right. And by the way, just one more question on the parent-child issue before I leave that. In our agreement on parent-child, did we include a provision that father's request for genetic testing of one child has to be kept private?
Yes, we did.
How old is the child that father wanted to have a genetic test conducted on?
She's 9.
Did we get assigned to Judge Knoll on that issue?
Yes.
Very well. Now, the property that you're living in, Did you and your husband have a disagreement about the value of the property?
Yes, our values were very spread out.
Is this where you and the girls have lived for some time?
Since before they were born, we've been here.
Have you qualified to refinance the mortgage on the marital home?
Yes, I have.
And so do you think you can refinance it relatively quickly?
Yes.
Where do you work? How are you employed?
I work for Arthur P. Veltman and Associates, a property tax protest firm.
And do you basically work 9 to 5?
I work 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Do you receive a W-2 for this employment?
Yes, I do.
About how much money do you earn per year gross before any taxes come out?
I earn about $64,000.
All right. Now, did your husband hire a man to do an appraisal on the home?
Yes, he did.
And do you recall about what the value of that appraisal is?
Yes.
How much?
253,500.
Okay. Did you pay to have this appraisal done?
No.
And do you believe that the home is worth $253,500?
I think it's a stretch.
What do you think it's worth?
I was thinking it might be closer to 215, 220, somewhere in there.
Tell the court how old the home is.
It was built in 1956 or 1958.
Does it need repair?
A lot. Yes.
Tell the court, in your opinion, having lived there all these years, what kind of repairs are needed?
I just had the roof repaired, but there are still 2 small leaks. The house needs to be leveled. The pole for the electricity needs to be replaced because it's leaning. The siding is rotten in many areas, and much of it needs to be replaced. The windows or the doors on the front and the back of the house need the frame and the doors replaced. You can see light through all of them. There's a hole in the floor in the back by the back door. All of the inside of the house needs to have taping and floating redone or done, period, because a lot of it wasn't done, because there are cracks all over the walls from the foundation.
Have you had an estimate for the foundation repair?
The last foundation repair
Judge, I'm
estimate,
going to object to hearsay. Hearsay, Judge.
Can't hear you, Judge. I'm sorry.
All right, sustained, I guess.
Have you looked into repairs for the home?
yes, but I don't have the money to fix everything through contractors right now.
Amber,
So-
listen to my question. Have you contacted and received estimates for repairs on the home?
Yes, for some things. Yes.
Can you afford it?
Let's see, the foundation, they quoted me about
Objection
5,000.
unresponsive.
I overruled it. Can you go ahead and answer?
Yes. The foundation, I was estimated at 5,000. The siding was going to cost me, well, probably around $6,000 to replace the siding on the house. The roof work, I've already had some of that done, but that costs me about $2,500. And the pole itself was going to be about $3,500 to put a new pole in.
That's the pole for the electricity, right?
Yes, the one that's leaning.
Okay.
I did not get the estimate though for the drywall in the interior or to replace the floors.
Understood. Okay.
Where it's done.
On petitioners 5, you list the value of the home at about $215,000, right?
Yes, and I actually see where we are on 5. No, I listed it 215. That's the net after paying the balance of the mortgage. Yes.
Okay, so let's go back. Please look at petitioners 5 with me, okay?
Mhm.
Now, tell me, you've used the appraisals value right here on your community property list, right?
Yes, I use the appraised value.
Do you believe that the appraised value is actually less given the number of repairs?
I do.
How much less in dollar figures?
I'm thinking about 30,000 less.
All right. Now, you currently owe 37,776.87, about $38,000, right?
Right.
Okay. And this is home for you and the girls, right?
That's correct.
Do you believe it's in their best interest for them to stay in their home?
Yes, I do.
All right. Now, as we go through the rest of this list, we have some vehicles, we have a trailer, we have a business, and some other items there, right?
Yes.
Okay, now go with me to the J Shop Snap-on generic toolboxes, okay, that you value at 60,000. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
How did you arrive at that figure?
I have seen receipts from tools that he's purchased, and I've seen how much the toolboxes themselves are worth to purchase them. And I know how many tools he has. I took video of everything that was sent to him in January.
How much does one of those toolboxes cost?
The toolboxes themselves,
Protection relevance.
It goes to the value, Judge.
Yeah, but they're talking about replacement value, not market value, Judge. They're not talking about what they're worth. They're talking about what it would take to buy it like today at Home Depot. That's not the test.
It's not a legal objection, subject to cross-examination.
I'm going to sustain the objection at this point.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The $60,000 that you arrived at,
Mhm.
tell the court what that included.
That includes the 3 toolboxes he has. He has a side tool on the side of it. Every drawer is full of just about every tool you can imagine. There are cases full of specialty tools, so many they won't even fit inside the toolboxes themselves. He's got compressors and other shop equipment too.
All right. Now, what is the basis of your knowledge about the value of these tools?
I have seen the receipts when he purchases tools. I mean, I've purchased Snap-on or Matco tools in the past myself. It's been many decades, but they are not cheap to purchase. They are lifetime tools.
Do they come with a lifetime guarantee?
Yes, they do.
So on your list, then, you want the house and your truck, and he gets everything else. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, now on these bank accounts, you've been accused of having all kinds of money that you haven't disclosed in bank accounts. Are you aware of that allegation?
I am, yes.
Is that true or false?
It's false.
Did you complete an inventory under oath in this case?
Yes, I did.
Do you stand by your inventory?
Absolutely.
In the course of your marriage, have you received large sums of money that are now unaccounted for?
No.
You have also been accused of owning an LLC that's very valuable. Are you aware of that accusation?
I became aware of that today. Yes.
Tell the court about this LLC, how many members it has, and how much money is in the bank for this LLC.
This is my company I've had for about 10 years. And the last time it made income was in late 2019. It has not made any income for 2020 or for 2021. It is a single member LLC. So it is considered a disregarded entity. I pass through the income to my personal income tax. There are only expenses. There are no assets. It owns no real estate and owns nothing. And there's about $20 in the bank account for that business, of which I've put on the inventory.
All right. So in terms of the bank accounts, have you made a full and complete disclosure of all of your bank accounts?
Yes.
Now let's go to the debt. Specifically, this debt of $95,000 to Brook Army. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Please tell the court whether or not this bill was incurred during the marriage.
Yes, it was.
Tell the court what happened and then what medical treatment you received.
This happened just at the steps to our kitchen when I was preparing to leave for work. Roger asked a question and I turned around to answer him, but my heel got caught on the top step and I fell off the top step to the ground below.
All right, slow down just a little, okay? Then what happened?
My arm broke in many places. Roger actually took me to the ER down the street and they transferred me to Brook Army Medical Center, the military hospital, for trauma surgery. So I had a joint replacement and all of the bones were reattached and the ligament was reattached to the elbow. It was a major surgery.
What year did this happen, Amber?
This happened in December of 2019.
Okay. Now, is there something special about these federal hospitals where you can't discharge debt?
Yeah, I've tried to negotiate. I've tried to get emergency Medicaid. I tried to get them to drop it, but it got handed over to the Department of Treasury as a debt within 10 months, even though I pay a little tiny bit each month. But it's hard to negotiate as the Department of Treasury.
When you were admitted to Brook Army, were you listed as married?
Yes.
And how much are you paying on this per month?
With my budget this year, I've only paid between $50 and $100 a month on this debt.
Sitting here today, do you owe about $95,000?
I'm going to object to leading, Judge. It's all right.
Judge, I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
I said rephrase.
Oh, okay. How much do you owe right now?
Right now, I owe Oh, wait, I printed that. Hold on just a second. Here it is. The total amount to date, which is on my credit report, $95,382.
Now, how important do you think it is or should be to you and your husband to pay this debt off now?
I want to be out from under this debt because it's in the hands of the federal government right now.
Have you attempted to negotiate it?
Yes, I have twice.
Any success?
Nope, they rejected both.
Let me ask you this then, Amber. Do you want to refinance the home so you can pay off this debt? And
Yes.
then the home is awarded to you?
Yes,
Okay. Is that the division of the estate that you're asking the court to order today?
yes.
Pass the witness.
Okay, ma'am. Now, the temporary orders, Amber, that happened back in February 2021 was something that was agreed to between the parties. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And what you thought was good for your kids at that time was that Mr. Payne had to take a hair follicle drug test before he started his standard possession order. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
you did not require him to do anything other than show you a hair follicle test showing that he passed before he could start seeing the kids. Isn't that true?
That's correct.
So there was no follow-up requirement to continue drug testing after he passed the original or first test. Isn't that accurate?
Not initially.
Well, I'm talking about the order that you agreed to and that was signed by the judge, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay. And so, but now you want to do something different, right?
circumstances changed.
Well, I mean, you have had really no contact since this case started with Roger, right? You don't answer his calls. You've never talked to him about the girls. Isn't that true?
That's what the close app is for and the temporary orders.
Okay. I'm going to object non-responsive, Judge.
Answer the
Ma'am, so you've had no contact with Roger, really since this case got started, whether about anything, including the girls. Isn't that true?
For my safety and well-being, that is true.
Okay, I'm going to object non-responsive, Judge.
Ask another question.
Okay, your safety and well-being, man, really? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, what about his safety and well-being? Are you violent?
No.
Okay, how about your family? Didn't your dad pull a gun on him at one time?
No, he did not pull a gun.
Excuse me, objection to relevance. We've already settled the parent-child issues.
Relevance, Mr. Kano.
Well, I mean, she keeps saying that she's scared about something, Judge. I'm just trying to cross-examine her about that. She said she's talking about her safety and well-being.
All right, so what does this have to do with this division of property?
Well, not much, Judge. Let me go on. Can I
All right.
proceed? All right, I get it. All right, so here we go. Now, ma'am, so you, at the time that you made an agreement and temporary orders, the child support, I think, for Mr. Payne was set at, let me get to that. Excuse me a second. Yeah. Okay. At $332.46 a month. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that was based upon the fact that he makes about $19,000 a year. Isn't that correct?
That was 6 hours a week, $19,000 a year. That's all he worked that year.
Okay, right. And that's what the agreement is still, correct? That's what he's supposed to be paying you going forward.
That's what's currently in place.
And so based upon those numbers, you want him to pay another, is it $514.26 a month, ma'am? Was that true?
Yeah, he was already ordered to pay half of that.
Yeah, okay. And so, but you're not willing to continue with what you agreed to in the temporary orders with regard to the medical, the premiums, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Now, ma'am, on the, with regard to, so your salary, how much you make in a year?
I make 64,000 gross.
Okay, and we talked about this LLC. All right, and I'm not trying to be critical, but when I look at your list, and I'm talking about petitioner's exhibit number 5 that talks about, stuff that you want divided in a certain way, I don't see your LLC on there. Is there any reason why you don't consider that an asset in any way?
It has no income and no assets, only expenses. There's no value.
As a matter of fact, on your inventory, you say that back when the inventory that you filed in this case said that there was only $27 in the bank with respect to that LLC.
That's correct.
And what is the name of this LLC, ma'am?
Providential Investments LLC.
Okay, and does Providential have any partners?
No, it's a single member LLC.
Okay, and so, and that LLC is currently active?
It is active with the Secretary of State, but there is no income, there is no assets, only expenses.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, that's what you keep saying. But
Because
I'm
it's
saying,
true.
well, I understand that, man. How much does it cost you a year to keep this LLC active?
It comes from my personal income. Because
Well,
I
don't
have,
you have to, do you pay a franchise tax every year to the Secretary of State to keep it up?
well, not if you have no income, but you do have to file.
Okay, and so, so even though this LLC has made no money, you continue to keep it up, correct?
Yes,
And you're saying that it's produced no income in 2 years.
that's correct.
And so, are you familiar? Do you know that Dun and Bradstreet has that LLC showing that it makes $136,000 a year?
Yeah,
You know
that's
that-
inaccurate.
Objection. That assumes facts not in evidence.
Ma-
I think, I'm going to overrule the objection.
Okay, ma'am, you have this Providential Investments LLC is something that you advertise on Facebook, is it? Do you not?
Yes, I put it on Facebook a year or two ago, I think.
And it's supposed to be a Providential Investments LLC, and when you look at the Facebook thing, it shows that you're selling houses, doesn't it? Isn't it? Is that what you do?
Objection to her testifying from a document not admitted in evidence.
Well, then I'd like to move for Defendant's Exhibit number 6 to be, ma'am, have you seen Defendant's Exhibit number 6?
No,
Okay. Are you there with your lawyer? Can we send that to you? I don't know how to pull this up on the screen.
She's not
Ma'am?
with me.
Okay. Well, can we get these to you? Do you have an email or something we can send this to you at? So you're telling me that you're on Facebook, but you don't know what you have on Facebook?
I am looking for the exhibits from you guys today. Hold on a second.
Oh, okay, thanks. Can you look at Defendant's Exhibit 6?
Here we go. Yes,
Okay, Defendant's Exhibit 6 a true and correct copy of what your Facebook shows on this Providential Investments LLC at the current time now?
it might be on there.
Okay. We move for admission of Defendant's Exhibit 6.
Objection 1, that's an improper evidentiary foundation. He's not laid a foundation at all for the admission of defendant 6.
I'm going to allow it. Defendant's Exhibit number 6 is admitted.
Okay, ma'am, and looking at Defendant's Exhibit number 6, this looks like that the services that your LLC provides is in the nature of real estate investment. And then it looks like there's several pages of homes, like new homes that are let me give you there's like an address of several homes on here. So does your LLC sell the homes that are indicated on this Facebook advertisement?
No, I don't sell the homes. I wholesaled homes in years past, which means I never actually owned any property.
All right. So so there's a home here on 318 First Street, San Antonio, Texas. It says pre-foreclosure assumption, property under contract ready for assignment.
Yeah, that's
So
old.
what would be the, right, what would be the purpose of including a photograph of this home and setting forth this language that I'm talking about?
I don't represent the seller or the buyer on that. It's called an assignment of contract, but that one did not go through.
Well, how are you compensated?
The spread between the seller and the end buyer of the property.
Is there, are you a licensed real estate broker?
You don't have to be a licensed real
Or an
estate broker
agent?
to wholesale property. No,
So,
but that
okay,
is
so
not
is that
current.
what you?
Yeah.
So are you a licensed real estate agent?
No,
There's another property at 12939 Maple Park, San Antonio, Texas. And then I think there's one at 6315 Brook Falls, Windcrest, Texas, and another at 1103 Longlear Drive in Floresville, Texas, all with these photographs.
What
So-
object testify? It should be question and answer.
I'm not done yet with my question. My question is, those are several lists of real properties in which you have a photograph of a home, and you're telling me that you're not advertising these homes for sale? Is that
those
what
are
you're telling us?
those are from years ago, many years ago.
All right.
Look at the post date
Well-
on Facebook.
Um, February 20th, 2020. Okay,
Objection,
that seems to be before. I'm just
Objection. Objection
What's
to,
your objection?
it's not a question. He's making a statement.
Go ahead and
Well,
continue, Mr. Cono.
I'm not done. Yeah, so this last posting seems to be on February 20th, 2020.
Yeah, that one
Would
fell
that be
through.
accurate? All right. So if a property sells, are you entitled to a commission, or how does
No.
that work? If there's some, you're not?
Yeah,
So-
the last property that sold was
Excuse
in
me,
late
I'm sorry,
2019.
excuse me, Judge. I need to say, I need to get one at a time because like I cannot get two people speaking at once, please.
Thank you. You all are going to have to go one at a time. She's can't do the impossible of getting two conversations on at the same time. This is a record and it needs to be accurate. So,
All right, Judge.
reframe your question, Mr. Kano, and then wait for Ms. Payne to answer, okay?
Okay, Judge. All right. Okay, and Providential Investments LLC maintains a information to be published to the general public with Dun and Bradstreet business directory. Isn't that true, Mrs. Payne?
I never posted to Dun and Bradstreet myself.
Okay, well, are you familiar with the, can you go to defendant's exhibit number 8?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay, and do you recognize this as a public business directory of Dun and Bradstreet, which contains information about your LLC?
Some information, yes.
And so this says that your annual revenue is $139,640. Does it
Sorry to
not?
interrupt. I'm going to object and move to strike that statement because he's attempting to testify from a document not admitted into evidence.
Are you referring
mean-
to defendant's exhibit number 8?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. It has not been
Judge-
admitted, Mr. Kano.
All right. Well, I'd like to offer it as defendant's exhibit number 8 as under 90 Texas Rules of Evidence 902. I guess it's 4.6. This is a publication of similar to a newspaper or periodical, Judge, that's published on the internet.
This document is number one, inauthentic. There's no way to show that this document came from Dun and Bradstreet without a business record affidavit on file for the proper number of days or a sponsoring witness. It's inauthentic, and on top of that, it's a hearsay statement. So for both of those reasons, it should be excluded.
So this is not a public business directory that is widely published to the business community?
It's not, unless they can prove that it came from Dun and Bradstreet specifically. And that requires a BRA, business record affidavit, or a custodian of records. This document is inauthentic. It could have been created from anything and not from a directory. So it's inauthentic, and then it's hearsay.
Where did you get that, Mr. Cano?
Judge, I got it online when I Googled this entity. And so it provided this Dun and Bradstreet directory. And so this is something. So my client can also talk about it too, because he's the one who assisted with that. But it's just, I don't think this is any under the rules. If a newspaper or periodical is self-authenticating, I could understand there could be an objection for a different reason. This would be no different. So it's self-authenticated, and I think it's relevant.
Well, number one, it's not self-authenticating under the rules. Number two, if the analogy is a newspaper, what if a newspaper had a hearsay statement in it? It would not come into evidence even if it was authentic. This is not authenticated, and it's hearsay.
I think those fit under exceptions to hearsay, don't they?
Yes, it's self-authenticating, Judge.
Authentication and hearsay are separate ideas. If something is self-authenticating, it doesn't mean it's not hearsay. This is not self-authenticating nor an exception to hearsay.
But if it's, I always thought that a newspaper, even when it restates or repeats hearsay, is still an exception to the hearsay rule because it is widely published and basically people can believe it or not believe it.
Well, that is the self-authentication argument. It's not the hearsay argument. I don't think a Dun and Bradstreet pulled from the website like this is self-authenticating. And even if it is, which it's not, any statements made in here are definitely for the truth of the matter asserted, and there's no exception. I could post anything on the internet. I could say.
But basically, this is cross-examination, and he is asking the witness questions about it. So.
But it doesn't overcome the hearsay or the rules of evidence. Cross-examination doesn't overcome the rules of evidence. The rules of evidence here exclude this exhibit.
Judge, if it's self-authenticating, that means it's admissible unless there's another valid objection. That means if it's not relevant, best evidence, something like that. I mean, but if it's self-authenticating, then I think it can be admitted if the court thinks it's relevant.
Well,
and are you asserting it as to the truth of the matter stated, or are you just asking about? Here's what I'm doing. I'm saying that this is an operative fact. In other words, we don't need to introduce this for the truth of the matter stated. We can introduce it for which takes it out of the hearsay rule. An operative fact is just showing the existence of a document pertaining to a matter, but it doesn't have to be for the truth of the matter. And so, no, we wouldn't be submitting it for the truth of the matter, but as an operative fact that this is in existence publicly.
Well, if that's the purpose it's being offered for, then we can leave in D&B business directory and redact the rest of it other than her name. Because it's a trick to say it's not for the truth of the matter asserted. Of course it is. So if he's just offering it to say this exists, then the rest of the document should be redacted.
Judge, whether it's offered for the truth of the matter or it's not, it's still admissible because it's self-authenticated.
And-
Anyhow,
I'm
I
going
just-
to overrule the objection. You may
All right.
proceed.
all right, thank you. Now, ma'am, so I want to go to now. Has there been any federal income tax returns filed by the Providential Investments LLC, Amber?
In 2020, you submitted that. Yeah.
Okay, so that was the last time there was a tax return filed?
Mhm, yeah.
That was the last time a tax return was filed? So
Yes.
why wouldn't you filed one since then?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 2021. I'm thinking backwards because I deal with property tax protest, which is a year behind. No, I filed for 2021 as well. 2020 taxes were done. The 2021 ones will be filed in February, I believe. So
Yeah,
2020
Yeah,
was the
well,
last one we did.
okay, and so, in your inventory, you attached a lot of documents, including your personal taxes, but you did not include the LLC tax return. Is there any reason why you didn't do that?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, we've talked about filing a sworn inventory. You filed an inventory, right?
Sure.
That we've talked about. And then there was documents attached to it that I received, including your, a tax return. Let me just get that year. For 2020. Okay, you filed a 20, but I did not see an LLC tax return, and I'm just wondering if you had a LLC tax return, why wouldn't you have given us that?
It's in there with the 2020 tax return. Both companies were submitted with the tax return.
All right, I'm going to move on because we don't have a lot of time this afternoon, and we really want to finish. I want to go to exhibits number 10, defendants exhibit number 10.
Is there anybody that can put that on the share screen so I can see what the exhibit is?
Judge, let me just see, Judge.
Okay.
Judge, this is the court reporter. Is there any way that I can take a 5-minute break, Judge?
Yes, let's make it 10 minutes. It's 3:51. We'll come back at 4 o'clock.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank
All right, thanks. Hello? So,
So whenever you're ready, Mr. Cano, I can display. I've got either exhibit 1
Yeah.
and 10.
yeah, let me talk about 10 real quick and then 1, and then I'll leave you alone. I think that's so, because,
So you
So
need 10?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think we send you 1 and 10, and I'm sorry we don't know how to do this. It's my bad. You think we should have learned that by now, but we haven't. Okay, there you go. Perfect. Perfecto. Uh, thank you. Yeah.
Just curious why she's still paying for the life insurance policy. I mean, said she's nervous. He's coming down for Christmas. Good.
Mr. Cano, you're not muted.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Well, I didn't know. My bad.
I'm gonna tell him to try and log on.
All right, I'm back. We're going to go back on the record, and we will start from where we stopped. Mr. Cano, you may proceed.
Okay, Judge, you asked whether I could enlarge something, and your coordinator thankfully is helping because I can't do that from where I don't know how, and we've worked on it, just can't do it. But anyway, my next exhibit is Defendant's Exhibit number 10, and I'm going to ask Amber to look at it.
All right.
Amber, do you see that up on the screen? Defendant's Exhibit 10?
Yes, I know exactly what that is.
Okay. All right. So you just told the judge that you owed $95,000 to the government, right?
That's correct.
All right. And this is all that you have right now to support what you're saying. Did you prepare this?
That is page 8 of a 40-page document as a proposed debt settlement.
Okay. I just asked you whether you prepared this.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So, and if you know, so I notice here that it shows this is your proposed settlement offer off this alleged debt. Isn't that correct? This is what you're trying to settle the debt for, correct?
Yes, but they rejected it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what I want to talk to you about is the bottom where it says total paid $44,110. You see that?
Yes.
At the bottom. Okay. So you're offering to pay them a lump sum amount of $44,110. Isn't that correct?
I did.
Okay. And this is dated in, I can't see the date right now, but at the bottom of the document, I believe it's dated May 12th of 2021, correct?
That's correct.
All right. So did you pay them the $44,110, ma'am?
No.
Okay, but you wanted to, right?
Yes.
And that's what you were asking them to do, to let you pay them $44,110, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so where was that money going to come from, ma'am? If you don't have any money in the bank, why would you be making an offer to pay the government this large sum of money?
It's right there. One payment from the refinance of a home. That is what I'm going to have to do to pay it.
Okay, but does that mean did you so you had not refinanced at that time? No. Okay.
No, we still had the original loan.
All right. And so where did you said that you're okay with the refinance somewhere. Where is that from?
You mean that I got approved?
Yes.
Yes, I just recently got approved this week.
Where?
Rocket Mortgage.
How much?
For $175,000.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So like if you got okay, let me make sure I understood you correctly. Under your petitioner's exhibit number 5, I believe you testified earlier that you put a value on the property of $215,724 net. Isn't that what you just testified to? Correct?
$215,724 net. Yes.
So that's after you pay off the mortgage. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So just using your numbers, half of that would be about $107,000, correct? That would be your husband's half of the equity.
And the house itself,
Yeah.
I would have to run the numbers.
Well, no, this is your equity amount, ma'am. $215,724. You just said that.
Yes, that's the total value of the house after debt.
Right. And so your husband's share of that is half. Okay. So I'm talking about $107,000. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is.
Objection. He's testifying and he's asking her to render a legal opinion.
Overruled.
So ma'am, so if you were gonna, so it sounds like you were gonna go borrow $175,000. So what were you planning to do with that money?
I am planning to pay off the 95,000 to the medical debt that's owed and pay off the BMW loan for the car that he currently has and the 2 credit cards, and the debt that's currently on the home has been paid off, the first mortgage.
And so, but you're here telling the judge that you don't think that your husband deserves any equity in that house. Isn't that right?
I believe he has assets too.
All right. And so the assets that you think that make up for $107,000, which is his half of the equity, has to do with these values that you've set out in Petitioner's Exhibit 5, including $60,000 for his tools that he had before you got married, right?
No.
Okay, so you just said that you were basing that number on new stuff, which you priced to replace things. Isn't that correct? The 60,000?
Whether it is the tools that he had prior to the marriage or the tools that he had during the marriage, there's no way for either one of us to determine what he had.
Okay, well, you understand how this works, right? You understand that if you load up his side of the ledger here with things that he's keeping and overvalue them, that's more money in your pocket for the house, that you have a better chance of keeping this house and without having to account for him for what he's paid on the for his equity. Isn't that right? You're aware of that, correct?
I think I've been pretty fair with the numbers.
Okay, and so now what's wrong with selling the property and just figuring out what the property's worth?
We've always discussed keeping the girls here to raise them here.
Yeah, but you're getting divorced now, ma'am, right? I mean,
Yes,
things
but
have to change.
What's the difference between selling and refinancing?
Okay, well, can you refinance $260,000? Would
I
you
was
be
not
able to do
approved for
that?
that. No, I
I'm
would not
sorry?
be able to afford that.
Okay, so the most that you can get a bank to loan you is 175 grand.
Mhm.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so, but that seems to be enough to pay off the loan and pay your husband some equity, right?
That was enough to pay off all of the debts, including the 95,000
Yeah,
medical.
Okay, so you don't want any pain from this divorce. You don't want to have any bills. You don't want to, you just want to have the house and you want all your bills all paid off, right?
All of our bills paid off. They're mutual bills.
Okay. All right. And so do you have anything other than your own document here that shows that this money's owed?
For the Department of the Treasury?
Sure. Yeah.
Of course, I
That
have
one.
documents from the Department of the
Okay.
Treasury.
All right. All right. And the I want to go a little bit on the as you told the judge that that Roger owed you child support. Did you say $573.99?
No, from the child support, $573.99. If you
All
take
right.
the amount of child support owed for the year minus the amounts that he's paid this year, then yes, that's the remaining.
But he has an account set up with the Attorney General's office. You get your money from the AG, right?
Yes, that doesn't mean they're always accurate either.
Well, okay, but there may be money that's there that you haven't gotten yet, is what my point is. So isn't that true?
Well, I got,
Objection calls for speculation. How would she know?
Well, I'm just saying is that there's an account that he pays you through with the Attorney General Child Support Division, correct?
yes.
Okay, so and so what's wrong with us saying that he's going to pay whatever the record shows that he owes for child support within 90 days? You'd be okay with that, wouldn't you?
I'd be okay with him paying what the temporary order said he owed this year.
Okay, and then as far as the uninsured, you said that he owed health insurance premiums or half of that. Had you ever given him information to tell him how much that amount is, ma'am? The $257.13.
I believe I probably gave that to my attorneys, the premium documents for dental and medical.
Okay, but you've never given that to him because you don't communicate with him, correct?
No, I do not.
And then as far as any uninsured health care coverage
Mhm.
that y'all have to share, you've never sent him anything that says, hey, your half is whatever, right?
That's what I sent to my attorneys.
But you don't, that hasn't been sent to Roger though, right?
Objection, that invades the attorney-client relationship.
All right. Anyhow,
I'll sustain that objection, okay.
all right. Okay, about this genetic testing thing, I know it was brought up. I wish your lawyer hadn't brought it up, but she did. That was a genetic testing that your husband brought up in this case that he withdrew, correct?
Correct.
All right. And his reasons that you're aware of for bringing up the testing at all is because you got a substantial gifts from a Mr. Ruiz prior to his death. Isn't that correct?
That's not true. Those were not gifts.
Well, what did you get? Did you get land?
It was owned by my company. We jointly purchased property together. When he passed away, the company sold the property.
Okay. And what kind of real estate did you get?
It was land,
How
6,000.
much? All right. Now, ma'am, you're aware that there's a gentleman named Marcelino Moreno, who's a neighbor of y'all's, who wants to buy that property for $300,000. Is that correct?
Objection. Number one, it assumes facts not in evidence. Number two, it's a hearsay statement.
This is,
Answer.
ma'am, can you please answer?
I have been made aware of that from an email.
Okay. And so when we're talking about market value of the property, the appraisal, and at this time, Judge, we'd like to introduce defendants exhibit number 10 and number 1. Number 1 is the appraisal, and we might as well get that out of the way.
All right. Any objection?
No objection to 1, no objection to 10.
Okay, so
Defense
on the
exhibit number 1 and defense exhibit number 10 are both admitted.
okay, so on this exhibit number 1, which is the appraisal, there's actually 2 values on this appraisal. One is for $253,500, and another is for $260,853.
Bernard, he's testifying.
Isn't that correct, ma'am?
I'm sorry, you're not the appraiser. You don't know how they come to their conclusion, but there's their final estimate right there.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm looking at page 2, ma'am. Actually, page 2 and 3.
Yes, I do know that an appraisal will use more than one method to value a property and then come to a final conclusion, which is on page 2.
Okay, so would you agree with me that the only real estate market values that we have for the house is what's contained in this appraisal and the $300,000 that was offered by Mr. Moreno?
No.
Objection. Excuse me. Objection. That's number 1, it's compound. Number 2, it calls for a legal conclusion.
Well, ma'am, let me ask you this. If you had somebody who offered you $300,000 for your property, wouldn't you agree with me that would be a signal, or at least establish what the market value of your property was?
Objection, speculation.
Ma'am?
I didn't hear the ruling.
Judge, your mic is not working, Judge.
Oh, I don't understand what's going on. Let me see what's The
I can hear
problem-
you now, Judge.
Okay,
Judge,
well,
you're loud and clear now.
okay, go ahead.
All right. So I don't know what your ruling was, though, Judge.
I said overruled, she may answer.
Oh, okay. So, ma'am, can you answer that last question, please?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
The question was, if you had someone come up to you and offer you $300,000 for your property, wouldn't you agree with me that would establish what the market value is of your property since they're willing to pay you that much for it?
I do know in this circumstance, he said that before the appraisal was made. So I'm not sure that I agree with you.
Okay. I'm going to pass.
Very briefly, Judge, and while I'm questioning, Sandy, please get Defendant's Exhibit 5 ready, please. Amber, do you communicate per the temporary orders via app close?
Yes,
So when you say you don't communicate, you mean you do communicate only via app close, correct?
that's correct.
Direction here, leading.
I still
Go
can't.
ahead, move on.
All right. Did you communicate these uninsured healthcare costs on app close?
Yes,
You had an opportunity to review Defendant's Exhibit 5. So if this exhibit could please be taken down. Defendant's Exhibit 5 is your 2020 1040, correct?
oh, yes.
And we're going to offer Defendants 5 into evidence at this time, and I'm going to ask Sandy to share the screen. I offer it now.
Objection?
No,
It's
no,
your exhibit. All right,
yeah,
it
no,
is
no,
admitted.
Judge.
All right,
No problem.
Sandy, will you scroll down to the profit and loss statement, Schedule C? And I'll let you know when we're there. Do you report your real estate investment on the Schedule C to your 1040?
Yes, I do.
And do you know that in 2020 you reported a loss?
That's correct.
And is that indicative of this LLC's value?
For the past 2 years, yes.
Nothing further.
all right. Mr. Kano, any questions? Any questions, Mr. Kano?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, on exhibit number 5, Amber, you tried to say that you put a value on Roger's business of $19,773. Okay, do
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about? Okay, all right.
Yes, I do.
But before your divorce started, Roger was doing auto repair at Charles' house. Isn't that correct? And that's what you're talking about, painless automotive service, correct?
That's correct.
And this $19,000 is what he made the year before before January of 2021. Isn't that true?
Yes, that's what everything was based on.
Okay. And so Roger was basically doing work at your house, and that's what painless automotive service refers to, but he has not done any work at your house since he was required to leave. Isn't that correct?
It was a functioning business with income when we separated.
Yeah, but he hasn't worked there. He had to close that shop down because of the divorce, right? He hasn't been working at the house.
He
has
didn't have to do that. No.
Okay, you're saying that he was welcome to continue working at your house
No,
after
he
the
could
divorce
have.
started?
He could have worked elsewhere. He still had plenty of clients all year asking for him.
Okay, well, but the fact is that you don't have an account. You never had an accountant or anyone establish the value of his business. Isn't that true?
No, I use the present value over a 10-year span at current inflation rate of 2.5%.
Okay, so but you haven't hit a degree in accounting?
I have a degree in finance.
Okay, but you have a degree in accounting, ma'am?
I do have accounting experience with my degree, yes.
Okay, but you don't have any experience in valuing businesses, correct?
Actually, I do.
Okay, what kind of businesses, ma'am?
The present value of current businesses with regards to property tax protests are what we do on a daily basis.
Okay, so you're saying that fighting with the government over how much the value of a property is a something that it qualifies you to evaluate businesses in an accounting sense?
I believe that I am qualified with my finance degree to determine the present value over the next 10 years that he would have worked at only the inflation rate. I did not use an interest of 5 or 7, just inflation.
Okay, but this number that you have here just shows what he made for the year, what his earnings were, correct?
That's what the present value comes out to. Is about the same as each year would be.
So you're telling the judge that the value of a business is equal to what somebody makes a year, correct?
That's what the present value came out to at the low inflation rate of 2.5%.
Okay, so if you, like Dun & Bradstreet says, if your LLC was making $136,000 a year, well, that would be the value of the business, right?
They would base it off of income, yes.
Okay. And then as far as the, I think that's all I have right now, Judge.
All right, anything else? Any other?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. At this point in time, are we ready to do closing arguments, or what's next?
I was going to call Roger Payne, Your Honor, with your permission.
All right.
Good. Judge,
Yes.
I have a witness who's the neighbor who offered to buy this property, that I'd like to take out of turn. I'm afraid that if we don't take him today, he may not be available later.
All right, you just have, how much time do you think it'll be?
I think my part is probably about 7 minutes or less, Judge.
Okay, all right, we'll take him out of turn.
All right. Is he there?
Let me,
Mr. Moreno.
excuse me, Mr. Cano, did you disclose this witness to me
Yes, ma'am, I did.
in disclosures?
Yeah, he's there. And then I sent you his phone number late. When I disclosed him, I didn't have his phone number. Then I emailed you his phone number.
Which disclosure? What date, please?
Yeah, we're looking to prove it.
All right, so you may proceed.
Okay.
Mr. Moreno, will you please turn on your video, please?
Let me try. I'm having a problem with it, but let me see if I can get it.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Judge, I don't think this witness was disclosed to me on the disclosures.
Huh? You need to find it. He's the last one on the list. Look on your list. We have our disclosures in the next room.
Hold on.
Okay, so
Okay, Mr. Moreno, your video is
Okay.
working. All right, let me ask you while they are looking for that to raise your right hand, sir. Sir, if you were chewing gum,
What
would you please
page?
throw it away?
it's on page 6.
I didn't hear that.
All right, raise your right hand and be sworn, please. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you may lower your hand. Thank you. You may proceed.
Just for the record, Ms. Wheatley asked me about the disclosure. He's on page 6 of my witness list, Judge. Just,
All right.
I hope. Anyhow,
I
okay.
heard that, so. Okay.
Oh, all right. Tell us who you are.
My name is Marcelino Moreno, and I own
Go ahead.
I own the business next door to where Roger used to live.
Okay, and so what is the name of what kind of a business do you have?
We own a landscape company, and the name of the company is Hill Horticulture Inc.
Okay, and do you have your own property that's adjacent to where the Payne's house is?
Yes.
Okay, and have you had occasion to talk to either Amber Payne or Roger Payne in an attempt to try to purchase their property?
I mentioned it to Roger. I don't,
Okay.
not
So-
to his, not to him.
How long ago was that?
Probably like a year.
Okay, so what did you attempt to try make an offer to purchase the property, sir, Mr. Payne? Did you inquire of Mr. Payne an effort on your part to try to purchase the property?
I did. Yeah, I was interested in getting, I had recently bought the property on the other side of us, and I was asking him if he was interested in selling his property. And it
So how
didn't
much-
work. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I cut you off. My bad.
All right. No, it didn't. Well, obviously it didn't. He didn't sell it. It didn't work out. But I was thinking around that time that it would be somewhere around 300,000, for the house and the size lot that he has and the shop in the back.
Okay. So why did you think that the property was worth 300,000?
Well, I based it kind of off of what I have here, the
Mhm.
size of my property, and
Mhm.
yeah, and then
Well-
the property next door that I had purchased, that is just land.
So was there so it sounds to me that you're trying to buy up property around where your business is. That's what you're trying to do.
Yes, sir. And in fact, it didn't work out with Roger, or I didn't buy it, but I ended up buying the house on the other side of the property next door. So I own my property, the next one, and the other house on the other side that I ended up buying.
So what made you think that the value of Roger's property was 300,000 at the time that you talked to him about trying to buy it?
I based it off of the value of what we were being like for where I'm at, like the building where I'm at, the house, if you will. We use it as an office, but it's a house. Is smaller and more of a square looking thing, and the value that's assigned to ours made me think that his was worth, well, a little bit more.
So what was the value assigned to your adjacent property with the house that you have on it that's now part of your business?
270.
And is that real estate smaller in size than that of the Paynes?
I think so. If maybe a little smaller or the same. I'm not sure exactly the size of his. In my lot is an acre.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Moreno. Were you willing to pay Mr. Payne back when you approached him about this? Were you willing at that time to pay him $300,000 for the Payne's property?
Yes.
I pass.
Sir, you are friends with Roger Payne, right?
Yes.
In fact, you're listed as his friend in some written answers to discovery. Did you know that?
No.
And you described this property as belonging to Roger, right? Roger's property.
Yes.
Do you know that Amber also owns this property?
No, I imagine she did, but I didn't.
Well,
I didn't ask.
when you imagined that she owned it, did you approach her and say, Amber, I would like to buy your property for $300,000 and have you and the girls move away from the only home you've ever known?
No, who does that?
Well, exactly. But you would have this court believe that you would pay above market value for a home for your buddy, Roger, and that you're willing to do that right now, right?
I was doing it for a business purpose, regardless of my buddy Roger. His business next door was was doing pretty well, and I thought, what a great place for a business. So my interest was for business, not for any kind of buddy reason.
Okay.
And so when I spoke with Roger, that was like that. I never talked to his wife. I mean, I never hardly ever saw his wife.
All right. So have you had an opportunity to review the appraisal by Billy Jeff Lane?
No, like I said, this was about a year ago when we talked, and I ended up buying the house on the other side.
So if you had an appraisal that valued the property at less than 300,000, like 250, would you still say, I want to buy that property for $300,000?
I don't know. It depends on the appraisal.
You certainly don't have any kind of side deal with your friend Roger to buy the property and then deed it back to him after this divorce is over, right?
No.
Nothing further.
Okay, this property that the Paynes live on, that's right off Highway 181, between 37 and 1604. Mr. Moreno, isn't that true?
Yes.
It's basically frontage property on US Highway 181. Isn't that correct?
Yes. It's a good business location. There's no HOAs, and you're right on the frontage.
Yeah.
And everything over here is growing super good.
I'll pass.
Nothing further.
Mr. Moreno, you're excused and you can log off. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's next?
Call Roger Payne.
Yes.
All right. I think I already swore Mr. Roger Payne in, so you
Yeah.
may proceed.
Sir, after the February 2021 temporary orders, is it true that you only visited the girls twice?
Yes.
Is it also true that you did not submit your drug test until October of 2021?
Yes.
Is it also true that nothing at all prohibited you from visiting with your girls from February to October, right?
Yes.
But you delayed taking the drug test for almost 6 months, correct?
Correct.
You, do you want your buddy to go buy the house out from under your wife and kids? Is that your goal, your plan?
No, I thought we would both get more money.
So let me ask you this question. Having visited the girls 2 times since the February orders, is the home where your wife and children live the only home your girls have ever known?
Yes.
Are you asking this judge to sell that home?
If she can't afford it,
What does that mean?
if you can't afford something, you shouldn't have it, right?
Well, it only about $38,000 is owed on the property, right?
Yes.
Now, you don't dispute that there is this bill from BAMC, do you?
No.
In fact, this bill was incurred just as your wife testified, correct?
Yes.
And these bills have still not been paid, have they?
I do not know.
What efforts have you made to assist in the payment of that medical bill that was incurred during the marriage?
I gave her all my pay.
Have you contacted BAMC?
No.
Have you participated in an offer in compromise to BAMC?
No.
Do you think that the medical bill needs to be paid?
Yeah.
So you must be willing to at least take on half of that medical debt, right?
Sounds fair.
Okay. So if you don't end up paying that medical debt, then you know that that will fall back on your wife, right?
Yes.
So in reality, why doesn't it make all the sense in the world to refinance the home and pay off this $95,000 debt? Why isn't that a great idea?
She would have more money if she sold it, or she just got a loan for 300.
Well, let me ask, sir, she does not want the home where your children have lived from birth to be sold. You understand that, right?
She told me if anything ever happened to me, she would sell it because she does not like living on the highway.
Okay. Did you hear her testimony today, sir?
Yes, I did.
Do you understand he does not want this court to order this home sold? Do you understand that?
Yes.
And do you understand that is the only home your daughters have ever had?
Yes.
So what is your proposal? That do you want this house to be sold or not?
I want my equity out of the house. If she can afford it, I want my equity out of the house.
Okay. And your position then is if you can get your equity out of the house, then your wife can be awarded the house, right?
Yes.
Then where will the money come from for you to pay 1/2 of this $95,000 medical bill?
If I got my equity out of it?
Sir,
Is that what you're asking?
if you get your equity out of the home,
Yes.
then will you use your part of the equity to pay off 1/2 of this medical bill to BAMC?
No.
Because the truth of the matter is you don't have any intention of paying off that medical bill, do you?
Not at the moment.
How many payments have you made on the medical bill since it was incurred?
I didn't know there was anything incurred.
Okay, so would that be zero?
I didn't know anything about any of those payments until August when I hooked up with Ed here.
Did you know that your wife had emergency surgery at BAMC? Were you aware of that?
No.
You didn't transport her to the doctor?
Oh, yeah, for her arm, yes.
Okay. And did you think it was going to be free?
We had insurance.
Okay. Did you take any action to learn if insurance only paid part of it and some more money might have been owed? What did you do to find that out?
I didn't.
Okay. So did you give your buddy a copy of the appraisal that you paid for?
No.
Okay. Why not? Because you just got through testifying. Don't you think that's pretty important information?
He just made an offer.
Okay. When was the last time you did a walkthrough at the home?
Over a year ago.
You know good and well that the single member LLC that your wife has didn't even make any money in 2020, right?
I did not know that.
Now that you've looked at your lawyer's exhibit and
Yes.
you've had an opportunity to review for Schedule C, do you see that it didn't make any money?
It looks like it.
Well, on the return, did she show a profit?
No.
Do you have any insight into what this divorce process has been like for your children?
I know my children cry when I take them home because they don't want to go home. They said mom makes them stay in their room and get on the computer and leave me alone. That's what they told me.
Then why in the world haven't you been more involved, sir?
Well, after they tried to kill me, I decided it's not safe to go over there. I won't even go down that driveway.
Okay. Can you tell the court what impact you think it would have on your children if, in addition to not seeing their father over this period of time, they also lost their home?
I lost my home.
Okay. And so your loss of home is the equivalent to your little daughter's loss of home. Is that right?
Not exactly, but sleeping in your car, kind of, that's not very nice. Yeah.
You slept in your car because you had a drug problem that you couldn't.
No, I slept in my car because I was removed from
allow
my
you
house.
to work and earn a proper income. Isn't that right?
I do not have a drug problem. Her parents have a drug problem, and she lets those alcoholics drive around with our kids.
Why don't you want to take a drug test if you're not visiting the
I've
kids?
already taken a hair follicle test.
Excuse me.
It's supposed to go back years.
Excuse me. Wouldn't you agree to take a drug test post-divorce if you don't visit the kids for 3 months?
Why would I not visit my children for 3 months?
Because you haven't. Since from February to October, you didn't visit one time, did you?
I couldn't.
Well, you didn't, did you?
I could not.
Why couldn't you?
I had no representation, and
You had Kimberly Beza representing you, didn't you?
yeah, they bailed out on me.
And then now you've had Mr. Cano, right?
Yeah, yes.
What's more important to you, the equity in the home or your children's happiness?
I would like my children to be able to come to my house too.
Do you want the court, if she's weighing the children's home against your equity, when she's weighing those two things, do you want her to land on the side of giving you the money you think you're entitled to?
Yes.
Does the location of the home anchor where the children go to school? Or
It
do
depends.
Or do you know?
It depends where you live.
Well, maybe I should ask this.
It's like 14 miles away.
Where do you go? Where do your kids go to school?
Idea Charter School.
Okay. The home allows them to attend that charter school, doesn't it?
Anywhere within 14 miles, all the way to that school, go to that school.
So in your world, the house,
It's 20 minutes away.
you will get your money, but you don't want the money to go towards paying off this debt, right?
Not at the moment. I'd rather spend it on my children.
Would you?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd rather spend it so they can have a house to come see me.
You would rather spend it on a house you can buy for yourself where the kids can visit, right?
Or my children, yes.
What do you think Amber's supposed to do for housing?
She makes 5 times more than I do. It'd be pretty easy for her.
Do you have any concept of how damaging it is to children to just show up and then be gone for months at a time?
Yeah, I know they missed me.
Do you have any concept about how horrible it is to ask for genetic testing on a 9-year-old?
No.
You don't. You don't?
No.
Amber has always been the primary caregiver of these kids, right?
She was a stay-at-home mom, yes.
How much money have you earned in 2021?
So far, I'd have to add it up.
Well, why don't you give us an idea of how much money you've made in 2021?
I make about $400 a week.
You know that you haven't paid all those bills in the temporary orders, correct?
Yeah, I just learned that today.
When was the last time? Well, let me ask you this. Did you enroll in AppClose?
I don't have a computer. I'm sorry.
Okay, so you don't have AppClose, do you?
No, and I don't have a computer.
Pass the witness.
Okay, Roger, can we go down these? I want to go to show the petitioner's exhibit 5 has a list. I'm going to ask if you agree. Okay, there's a 1995 Ford and that you're driving, correct?
Yes.
Your wife has a value of $5,400 on exhibit number 5. And
Yes.
do you agree with that value?
No.
What is the value of that truck?
Probably about $1,700 when I paid for it
What do
all the
you,
years ago.
why do you say that?
Well, it's not the XLT model. It's just a low work model. It's a standard transmission. That's why.
Well, why do you think it's only worth $1,700?
Because have you seen it?
And I'm just answer the questions. We're running out of time.
It's not worth it.
Okay, this is a 1995 model, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's also a reference to a BMW.
Yes.
Your wife says it's worth $44,564. How much do you think it's worth?
Right now, needing an engine, about $1,500.
Does it run?
No.
Okay, so it's not even operable?
No. It has to be towed wherever it goes.
When was the last time it started?
July
Of what year?
of this year.
Okay, there's this enclosed trailer that she says is worth $3,000. What's that all? How much do you think that's worth?
Maybe $300. I paid $650 for it. That was
Okay.
years back.
So you paid $600 for it years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any clue why your wife thinks it's putting a $3,000 value on it?
She's probably looking at brand new ones.
Okay, there's a Kawasaki. Do y'all even own that?
No.
2012 Kawasaki ZX14.
No.
Who does it belong to?
It belongs to Tracy Dixon.
Okay, so where is it? Do you have it?
It's at his house.
Tracy Dixon's house?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not something that should be part of the list here because you say it's owed. Tracy has it, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So, is there first of all, do you have a business?
No, I do not.
Okay. Did you have a business when you lived at the house?
Yes, I own Famous Automotive.
And then, so what happened after the divorce was filed?
Well, she had all the records of my clients. I had no records of clients anymore.
Why not just go get them?
I couldn't go over there.
Why not?
She'd probably shoot me.
Well, I mean, and were you threatened with? Okay, I want to know what the deal was because they're making a big deal how you hadn't seen your kids in a long time until recently. So what? Just explain briefly what's the deal with that? What's up?
Well, her parents are alcoholic, gun-toting people, and her stepdad arrested like 5 times for DWI, and he's the one that pulled the gun on me in the first place. And I'm afraid to go over there.
Okay, well, did you try to contact your kids by phone?
Yes, I tried, but I can't. She wouldn't let me answer or talk to them.
You're talking about Amber wouldn't let you talk to the kids.
Yes.
All right, and so you said that you didn't have a drug problem. Okay.
No.
Okay, and do you think that you have a problem with alcohol? Have you ever had an arrest for drugs before?
What year was that, Amber?
She knows about it. How long?
It was like 2007 or something.
What was that all about? What county was that at?
In Austin.
Okay, what are we talking about? Drugs?
Yeah.
What kind of drugs?
Cocaine.
Okay, and what about Amber? She got any problems with any of this?
She just smokes weed. That's all.
Okay, so maybe she needs to get drug tested too.
It wouldn't hurt.
Okay, so if she likes smoking weed?
That or gummies.
All right. Okay, so these tools, these Snap-on tools that she's put a $60,000 value on, Do you agree with her assessment or not?
No, my dad paid off those tools before I moved to San Antonio.
Okay, and are those the tools that you have in your possession now?
Yes.
Okay, and you're telling me that, was your dad a mechanic?
Yes.
Okay, and where does he live?
In McDade, Texas.
Okay, he's not doing so good right now, right?
No, he's going through chemo.
Okay, these two Raptors, look at the bottom. It says Yamaha Raptor. There's two of them.
Yeah.
And they're like four-wheelers. She's got a $3,000 value. Do you agree with that?
Not really, because they haven't run in 3 years.
So they're not running. How much did you pay for them back when?
I paid $1,100 for one, and I think I paid $15 for the two.
Well, how much do you think they're worth now in the condition they're at?
$2,000 for both of them.
See, okay.
Maybe
All right.
1,000 a piece.
All right. Okay. And then you've got lawyer's fees yourself, correct?
Yes.
And I don't think I've given you a statement recently, but so you're going to have fees about $10,000 too in this case, are you not?
Yes.
Just like her. All right. Now, your wife's been paying $1,500 on this bill with the Army.
Yeah.
I said, but isn't that what you're trying to say? Is that if there's a way that you can pay this out instead of paying it all at one time?
Yeah, that's
maybe there's something you can do to pay on it.
Yeah.
All right. And is that what you'd rather do than?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. All right. Do you know anything what this credit card is all about for Eline Financial Credit for $15,000?
I don't have any credit cards. I have no idea. She did all the bank records.
Okay, but you don't know what that was spent on.
No.
All right. Roger, is there anything else that you need to feel like you need to ask the judge about? I think because we're almost done here. We need to call it a day.
Yeah, I'd like to know if she could cancel the life insurance policy on me. It makes me kind of nervous.
Okay. So there's two insurance policies. Do you know, I think she disclosed maybe two insurance policies, one on your life and one on hers.
Yeah.
All right.
I thought it was strange she still has one on me.
Okay. And all right. Well, I'm going to pass. Thank you.
Nothing further.
All right, any other witnesses at this time?
Judge, can we just use basically, I'd like to incorporate my cross-examination and my client's testimony as part of my case in chief, just so that we don't have to duplicate the evidence here. I mean, I'm prepared to. I don't know if she's. I don't think there's anything further. Deanna, are you resting?
No further witnesses. I rest and close.
Yeah. So with that in mind, we're gonna rest and close also, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead and close.
Very briefly, Judge. First of all, the life insurance issue coming up at the last moment. Life insurance should be in place for a father as long as child support is due and owing. That's a standard provision. In terms of the other issues, I trust this court to see through what is really going on here, which is an absent father with a drug problem and an estate that begs to have this debt paid off. These federal debts cannot be discharged and payment plans are hard to come by. And so to me, to order the house sold under the facts of this case would penalize these kids and the stay-at-home mom. And I don't think the court should do it. I don't think you will do it, having a heart for these kids. Do a refi, allocate the money to pay off this $95,000 debt, which is undisputably a community debt. And to believe father's testimony in light of the historical record in this case is to ask you to suspend your disbelief. So we've presented a solid case for you to secure the home for the kids, confirm all of our agreements, and let this family move on and be through with this nightmare of divorce. Thank you.
All right. So, Judge, I don't think that after so many years of marriage that my client should not get any equity in this house. You can see what happened. She's trying. Look at how she overvalued everything on her list. It was just ridiculous. She's playing the game, to top heavy him with all the values on his side. She's already paying $100 on this debt that that she hasn't given you any proof of, other than by saying it's there. Okay, so and then just judge the credibility. Okay, she's saying all this stuff's wrong with the house, but yet she can get without question a loan, to pay off the mortgage without having to make any repairs to make sure any of that's done. So that just shows that all that stuff she's trying to dog the house about is just not accurate. And we're talking about, okay, so here's what I say. If the court thinks this property is worth $300,000, and it's got to be because they've got someone that was willing to pay him for that, then the equity is $263,000. Okay, if the value of the property is at $260,000, then the equity is $223,000. If the equity is at $253,500, then the equity is $216,500, which by the way happens to match almost identical to what Amber thinks the net equity is. So she's already done her homework on the value. She probably just about the value of the property. So I think that what she should, if she can get a loan for $175,000, then what she needs to do is pay Mr. Payne for his equitable interest after the loan's paid off, or the judge should set a particular amount, and to the extent that there might be any excess, then the court can order that paid to the government. So long as she provides proof that it's owed from the government, and or otherwise, then these parties need to be paying on this thing the way she's been doing, $50, $100 a month. So she obviously doesn't. She wants all of her bills paid. She doesn't want to have. She's trying to set everything up to deny Mr. Payne his equity. She's also. There's a reason these people got married back in whatever it was, 2004, and so he hasn't seen his kids for a year. He's told you why. He's resuming that relationship, and it's not because it's dope. He provided a hair follicle test, which under the temporary orders said that all he had to do was come up with one test before he started his visits. But you know what, Judge? I think that I just don't think it's appropriate here. But if you're going to order some kind of testing, she ought to pay for it. And honestly, if she likes smoking weed, then she ought to get tested too. And then and they should both be tested. All right. Otherwise, these kids are old enough. They like spending time with their dad. And they haven't this couple has not communicated in about a year. And so she's not going to take his calls. Okay, that's fine. Apparently the oldest daughter has a phone that dad can call now. She has her own phone. But so I don't know what else you do other than maybe do a family wizard or whatever has been in place. And I can vouch for the fact that Rogers doesn't know anything about computers. He doesn't have an email. He doesn't do Zoom. He doesn't have a computer. So we kind of get used to that in our business, to where I have to do it I have to communicate with him the old-fashioned way. But he's just a hardworking mechanic, and he's ready. He's got to move on too. So we respectfully ask that the values, that the overinflated values that have been suggested here be adjusted to reflect the values that we have testified, that my client testified about, and that there be some equity paid to the client.
Okay. All right. Well, anything further?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take this under advisement. It's pretty complicated, but you all have agreed to several things, right? Except,
Yeah.
I know that as far as Mr. Mr. Payne wanting the canopies, things like that. I have all these notes. I'm going to review this and I will let you all know. I may have questions. I have copious notes, but I may have questions. So I'm going to really mull this over. I want to do the fair and just, right and just division. And so because it's all in the child's best interest, I don't care that all that has already been agreed to. If the parents get along, hopefully after this they can at least be friends. That's in the best interest of the children. Okay, I don't want to have any bad. Avoid as much bad blood as we can. So I will try to do something where they can live with this and move on and not be angry with each other as much. I don't know.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you. And is the divorce granted, Judge?
Yes, the divorce is granted.
All right. And it's nice to see you again.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
good
it
to see
really,
you.
it is, Judge, and I don't know, you signed up, I guess, for the divorce case today, and so were you feeling nostalgic? Is that what?
Judge, are we still on the record?
No, we can go off the record now. Thank you. And I think
Yeah.
we're probably